Okay, today we're going to talk about three methods of what is called central tendency, and those three methods are mean, median, and mode. So, mean, and I put them down here, is where you're going to add the numbers together and divide by how many numbers you have. This is just another word for average, right? If you average something, you're finding the mean. Okay, so let's look at this where it's talking about how many donuts. And we're going to find the average of that, or the mean. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add together the data. So you can do this however you want. When I'm trying to add together a data set, I like to make groups of 10, okay, or other kind of like common numbers. So like for me, I'm going to say, well, 2 plus 8 is 10. 4 and 6 is 10, right? Well, now all that I'm left with is 10 and 5 is 15, and 4 and 9 is 13. Okay, so on your test and stuff, you're going to be adding some lists of numbers like this, and the quicker you can do it and the more accurately you can do it, the better. So for me, this is how I typically will add, and then I also just go 10, 20, 30, 40, 8, right? Because I have 4 groups of 10 and then 8 ones. So that's 48 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. And then we should know that 48 divided by 8 is 6. So 6 is the mean of that data set. So the average number of donuts eaten was 6, which is a lot. Okay, so let's calculate the median. So the median, and I wrote it down here again, if you look in your little reference, it's the middle number. Just like the median of the road, you know, if you're driving down the street, the median is what's between the lanes. Same concept here. The median is the middle number. Okay, the important thing is that we have to put the data in order before we can find the middle. So let's start with our smallest number. So that's 2. And I'm just going to underline it so I know that I've used that number. And then I have 4, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. And I know from earlier that I have 8 data items from when I counted to do my mean. And so now I need to find the middle. So here's where it can get a little bit tricky. If I have 8 numbers, is there going to be an exact middle? Like if there were 8 of you standing in a row, is there going to be someone in the middle? No, it's going to be 4 and 4. And then the median is going to be what comes in between these two kind of middle numbers. So sometimes it's pretty obvious and you're like, oh yeah, in between 5 and 6 is 5.5. Okay, if it's not as obvious, then what you can do is you take these two, I'll do a little arrow over here, and we add them together and divide by 2. So 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. Okay, next, the mode is the number or data item, that occurs the most often. Okay, it can be, you can have more than one mode or you can have no mode. But in this example, 4 would be the mode because there are 2 number 4s, and that's the most that any data item occurs. And then the range is always your biggest minus your smallest. Okay, so my biggest data item is 10, right? The biggest number of donuts eaten, greatest number was 10, and the least was 2. 10 minus 2 was 8. So mean, again, is the average. You add them up, divide by how many numbers you have. Median, you put the numbers in order, and it's that middle number. Mode is the number that occurs more often than the other numbers, and range is greatest minus the least. So if you turn your paper over, we have another data set, okay, and on this data set, we're gonna add together the numbers. So, first thing I'm gonna do is I know that if I add 13 and 17, that gives me 30. And then look, 13 and 17 again is another 30. And then 12 and 20 is 32. So I have 30, 60, 92 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then I know that 6 times 10, well, let's just go ahead and work it out. I'll just do it over here. So 92 divided by 6. So 6 goes into 9 one time, that's 6. 6 goes into 32 5 times, that's 30. 6 goes into 20 3 times. What's going to keep happening here? It's going to be repeating. So we're going to round to the tenths place and make the mean 15.3. Okay, and then on the median, the first thing we have to do is put our numbers in order. So I'll make my list over here. I have 12, oops, kind of crooked, and then 13, 13, 17, 17, 20. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers, which I do. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So what number would come in between 13 and 17? 15. The mode is going to be the number that occurs more often than the other numbers. So I have 2 13s and 2 17s. So my mode is 13 and 17 because they occur more than the other numbers. And then last is range. My largest number is 20. My smallest is 12. 20 minus 12 is 8. And then let's do one more example. Let's do this. Except for the outlier, don't worry about the outlier right now. Why don't you pause your video, go ahead and do this example on your own paper, and then let's see what you get. Okay, so let's go ahead and add together our data set. Let's see how that goes. I am going to start with 1 plus 5 is 6 plus 4 is 10. And then 12 and 8 is 20. And then 7 and 3 is 10. And then I have 114 plus 2 is 16. So 116, 126, 146, 156. And we're dividing it by 4, 7, 10 numbers. So 10 goes into 156, 15.6 times. Okay, and if you don't know how I did that, when you're dividing by 10, you just move the decimal one place to the left. But 10 goes into 15 once, that's 10. Bring down your 6, 10 goes into 56 5 times, that's 50. Bring down a 0, and that's where I got that. Okay, and then let's find the median. So I'm going to put my numbers in order. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I have 7, 8, 12, 14. And then 100. And I should have 4, 7, 10 numbers. So when I split that in half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what number comes right in between 5 and 7? 6. And then let's talk about the mode. Was there any number that occurred more often than other numbers? There was not. So there is no mode, right? There's not a mode. You can write none or no mode. Okay, we can't write 0 because 0 is a number and 0 isn't the mode, right? There is no mode. And then last, or almost last, is range. My biggest number is 100. My smallest number is 1. 100 minus 1 is 99. And then the very last thing we have to talk about is the outlier. Okay, if this data set represented something like how many pets everyone in our class had. Okay, someone had 1, 5, 2, 3, 12, 14, and then someone responded with, I have 100 pets. Does that 100 fit in with our other data? No, it is our outlier. Okay, and it is going to raise the mean, right? Is our average number of pets in our class, is 15.6 really a good average? No, right? The average person doesn't have 16 almost pets, right? This one number was so much higher that it skewed our data, and that's called an outlier.